how can I realistically do that? And I think it's just a matter of being in both and being balanced, and also finding a partner that is down to have the balance too.
Absolutely. That's important.
It is. And
Yeah.
someone who really understands that, I'm going to be gone on the road, I'm going to be traveling, but I'm not, I'm going to be working hard. And I also plan on spending time with my family and building that. And I think also being present in that.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Infinite Multiverse Podcast. I'm your host, Grecia Salomon Rose. And today I'm actually very, very excited for this cosmic alignment that happened with my beautiful guest today. She's not only an extremely talented person, I feel very inspired by her, but also she's a very strong woman with a very powerful story to tell. So welcome, Kat Hall.
What's up? Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, welcome in. You look gorgeous.
Thank you.
I mean, when do you not? That is really the question.
Thank you, Queen.
Yes.
I feel the same.
Yeah, I feel like I'm calling this cosmic alignment because you know when the universe is just there for you, giving you the feedback of like, hey, if this is not going the way you wanted to go, it's because I have something bigger for you. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that happened with you being here.
Yes. Perfect timing.
Yeah. So thank you for jumping in last moment and making it worthwhile,
Of course.
So, well, you are, as I said, a very inspiring person to me. Just to see what you've been able to achieve, who you are as a person. We've met before in events, in festivals, in many different ways. And then I just feel like strong women recognize other strong women.
Yes.
And when you're actually in your full power, then you can see the power in the other person. Yeah. It doesn't feel like jealousy. It doesn't feel bad. It just feels like, yes, like I recognize myself in that person. And that's been through your music. Through the human being that you are. So thank you for bringing that vibe to the world. And I'm just sure that you have like a very strong story behind, what you have achieved. So you're a reggae singer.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, so is it Kat Hall because of Disco Hall?
No, it's just my name.
That's just, okay. That is actually your name.
Yeah, my name is Catherine Hall. So.
Okay.
If you know, you know. Catherine, that's my name, Catherine Hall. And so I just started going by Kat in elementary school because there was another Catherine.
Yeah.
When it came down to it, I was like, you know what? That works.
Yes.
We'll go with that.
No, it's a very artistic name, but you know that reggae has like different...
Dance hall.
Dance hall. I said disco hall. Okay, dance hall.
Yeah,
not my area.
No worries. Yeah, dance hall. Some people think that sometimes. Like, dance hall, like Cat Hall. And I'm like, sure, but no, it's just my name.
So how do you arrive to this place where you have a band that, you tour around Southern California where I've seen you. And I feel like you've built this very solid group of artists. And how do you get to this place where you're just like, I am a reggae singer and this is what I'm going for?
Yeah, it definitely took many years and a lot of hard work and dedication. I think a lot of times we see people and we think, oh my gosh, they're doing all these things, but it really took so long to get there, It's just been a steady journey. But I started singing from a young age in school and in church. My mom really wanted my older sister and my sister Claire, she's 3 years older than me. She really wanted us to sing because she said, you two have talent, you can't give it up. You should keep doing it. So we did that. And then my sister got asked to join a reggae band when she was in high school.
Okay.
So she said yes. And she started playing shows out by the beaches in Florida and Jacksonville, where I'm from. And I would tag along and my parents would take us to shows. And it's an interesting experience to take your kids to shows at a young age.
It feels like it was kind of meant to be. a little bit like, for your path, you know, to see it backwards, like now where you are, it's like, well, my parents actually had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, exactly. My parents are huge music lovers, and so I'm really grateful that they've always been into that and have encouraged us to go for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, seeing my sister on stage with a bunch of reggae artists, honestly, is what inspired me. And eventually, I got on stage too. We would harmonize together. And in high school, I started singing with one of my best friends, Christina, and we like did the talent show. You know, we did the whole thing.
So fun.
Yeah, learned how to play guitar. And
okay.
I started feeling songs coming through. I just didn't know how to bring them to the world. And
are you a songwriter as well?
I am. Yeah, definitely find a lot of peace in songwriting, and that's kind of how I channel my emotions and move them through and kind of put them into a concrete thing. And so I found myself wanting to do that in high school, learned how to play guitar, and then started doing it, started writing songs. And at first they were really simple, and then, you know, they kind of started to get a little more complex, and different things.
Well, life gets more complex.
Yeah.
So now your channeling is a little different, you know? A
little different, right.
You have more to channel now.
Exactly. Yeah, that's totally it. And I realized I wanted to be a front woman. I saw people, you know, a lot of front men, and I got on stage and I felt what it felt like to lead a band and to be on stage and perform, and just the adrenaline and the feeling and the alignment that I felt at that age. I knew, like, I want to do this. Like, I want to be a singer. I want to be a front woman. And so I got to college and I started a band, and I just started doing it. And
how do you start a band? You just looked for people around and it's just like, hey, you're great at this, come with me.
I mean, yeah, kind of. Yeah. Honestly, you know, you meet other musicians and they say, oh, I play drums. I'm like, oh, well, I'm looking for a drummer. Let's jam, you know, let's jam. And so I would just jam and play with different people. I would be out at college on the grass on a blanket, just playing guitar, and people would come up, you know, just have different conversations. Oh, I know this person who plays keys. Oh, I know a friend that plays guitar. And then next thing you know, you're jamming with a group of people, and it's like, wait, should we start a band?
Do something?
Start a band. So
that's so fun.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your industry, because it is very incredible to see a woman leading a band, but also a reggae band.
Yeah.
I just feel like, well, it's not my area of expertise either. Like, I don't feel like I'm very knowledgeable about, you know, reggae music. I love it, but I'm not knowledgeable. But it feels like a very masculine environment, which I think when we're talking about entertainment, you know, we're all dealing with that. The transition right now of like actually allowing women to be in more positions of art and power and in entertainment in general.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you? Just like, I'm gonna do this, and at the time, I'm sure it was a little harder to approach.
Yeah, I think getting into the scene, realizing it's super male dominated, and like you're saying, it's like that in a lot of industries. So it's really important for females to rise up and to take that power and really fill those shoes and not be afraid and be confident. And definitely is a lot harder for women. I've felt it and noticed it. And at first it didn't really seem like a thing. And now that I'm older and I've had more experience and it's gotten more complex, starting to realize, oh, there's so many layers to all of this. But there's a lot of women before me in the reggae industry that have been just crushing it and have been super inspiring. I think one of the most inspiring to me is Hyrie. She is from Hawaii. Okay. And she has a baby girl when she was just starting out, and she took her on tour. She homeschooled her. And
just to think about it, because like we don't have babies and we're still dealing with a lot. And then you add that you're a mom.
Yes.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. So it's been an interesting journey because I'm getting to a point where I'm in my late 20s and I'm thinking, okay, you know, I want to build a family one day, but how am I going to do that? I'm going to have to choose between the music and being a boss babe and touring and living my life and traveling, or am I going to have to choose to stay home and build this family? And I think there's a way to do both, and I'm trying to figure out that balance.
That's what I was going to ask, or say, I feel like we don't have to choose. we come from this mindset where, well, I'm either at home, taking care of the kids, which is absolutely valid.
Yeah.
And it's a full-time work.
Of course.
Like you just have to be there. Of course, raising a child is a lot. Building a family takes a lot of you.
Yes.
But then you should never leave your dreams behind.
Yeah.
Because at the end, you're also promoting that mindset, that teaching to the ones that are coming after you.
Yeah.
What's your mindset now? Do you feel like you're finding that balance?
I'm hoping to find the balance, definitely. And something really interesting that I've come to find out is that being a reggae artist is, more on the path of male dominated, I think, because it's easier, more natural for men to be very go-getter, like make it happen, put in the work, grind, be on the road, sleep
It's more
on
masculine
couches.
energy.
Masculine energy.
Yeah.
So for me now, I'm in my feminine, but I'm also very masculine because I understand that I am ready to just put in a lot of work and make it happen and go for my dreams. Whereas, a lot of male reggae singers or artists, musicians in the scene, they have women at home taking care of kids for them.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can I realistically do that? And I think it's just a matter of being in both and being balanced, and also finding a partner that is down to have the balance too.
Absolutely. That's important.
It is. And someone who really understands that, I'm going to be gone on the road. I'm going to be traveling, but I'm not, I'm going to be working hard. And I also plan on spending time with my family and building that. And I think also being present in that when that time comes is going to be really important, and not just working for this goal that I'm chasing after, but really integrating all of it.
Which is also integrating the masculine and feminine.
Exactly.
Which I think there's so much power in that when you, in this kind of industries, the music industry, for example, it's just, yes, it is very male dominated, but talking about the dynamic of it is a very masculine approach. You're your Mars, you're constantly going, there's just so much action, like constant action. And then we women, we need to bring the ease, but that's what you bring on stage. Just so you know.
Okay.
So, and I admire that so much because I understand the difference between those energies. And it's like, hey, it takes a lot to just be there, be doing, be pragmatic about the work and the technicalities of it all. But then how do I embrace my full feminine?
Yes.
Because that's creative and that's artistic.
Yes.
And then when you find that balance between both, it's magic.
It is.
And you create that, just so you know.
Thank you so
make that happen.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
I remember we met years ago. The first time I met you, it was this festival in Joshua Tree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it was so random. So out of nowhere, so random. Yeah. It was a very small festival. I think it was Halloween.
It was. It was called Once in a Blue Moon.
Yes.
And it was a full moon on Halloween. Yeah. In Joshua Tree. So magical.
It was very magical. But I remember it was my first time just going by myself. Not at least not with my group of people. You always have your group of friends and you're like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. This one is like, someone is inviting me, let me take the chance.
Yes.
And I remember that weekend I met you and your friend who's also in your band. Isn't she Colombian?
She is.
Yeah.
Moni Light. Shout out to Monica.
Monica, we love you.
We love you. Yes. She's a queen.
Both of you. I remember the moon was rising and you had your set.
Wow.
And this girl, she's like full, like, queen of the desert, and then you're thinking they're gonna sing something like psychedelic or something, and then they put this reggae show that was fantastic, and I'm like, who are these people? Where am I?
Yes.
That was so good. So I know I've seen your performances in festivals, but like, where do you want to get to?
Honestly, festivals, I think there's something really special about it because, like you're saying, if you go by yourself or if you go with a group of people, you're out of your normal environment. You're probably camping. You're really embracing just being, it's this big sleepover with your friends.
Yeah.
Like, you're in it. You're in that experience fully. And I think what's really cool about festivals is people are going to find new music. They're going to find new things. They're very open. They're very ready to find new friendships. They're just open. Everyone's just open to receive. And I think
and open to give, which is so beautiful about the festival mindset.
Yes.
Like, oh, I wasn't asking for anything in return, but thank you.
Yeah.
It's like a very supportive environment.
It's really beautiful. Yeah. People in the crowd are handing out little trinkets and just passing out like bracelets, and it's like, oh, this is cool. It's very welcoming, very homey. Everyone just ends up being very connected. So I think I have realized along the way that I think festivals are what I really would love to focus on, just because I have a message to share about individuality, empowering other people to create art, do music, you know, live in their full potential, chase their dreams. And so when you're on a stage at a festival, there's a lot more opportunity for that to really sink in.
For the message to transfer.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe if you're at a bar, you know, down the street, people aren't as tapped in and ready to tune in to what you're saying. It's more, you know, in those situations, I'm kind of hoping that what I'm saying, my lyrics gets through. But at a festival, I can feel the energy exchange of the crowd.
Yeah.
The people are really loving it. And also what I've noticed, people at festivals, you're not who you are in your everyday life. You know, you're not.
I call it your alter ego.
Yes.
Like the person that you want to be.
Yeah. and that can change by the day at the festival. You can be whoever you want. I love that. And so you see people dancing at festivals crazy, you know, just letting it all out, being whoever they want to be in that moment.
Me.
Yes, same. Like, just, it doesn't matter. Just dreads flying everywhere, like dancing crazy and just feeling
free.
Yes. So
no, I admire that about festivals too. And then finding these artists that have a message to share.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel how do you say it, like empty? Like, hey, I'm just here. You know, sometimes you go to a certain place and you're going to see this very famous DJ. That's something that bothers me, by the way. I'm very picky. I'm very picky about energies.
Yeah.
You know, of course I like my music, but when you see the performer doing it for themselves, doing it in a way that is selfish, like, hey, let me just get the claps.
Right, of course.
And then there is a different energy when there is a collaboration between the crowd and the artist.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this person, you know, like, they are actually grabbing energy from the people.
Right.
I notice that in like a heartbeat. And if that's not happening on stage, I'm moving.
Yes.
Moving on.
So true. Yeah.
And besides music, what are other things that you're passionate about?
Thank you for asking. I'm very passionate, obviously, about music, and I'm very passionate about like manifestation, spirituality, and tapping into source.
Yeah.
That has really helped me along the way, like my faith in a higher power. So I really love tapping into that and just really trying to be more in tune with my highest self.
Yeah.
So that I can show up in the world with a full cup and pour out this message, you know, whatever it is, what's coming through.
Yeah.
How can I be a good steward of all these lessons that I'm learning?
Yeah.
You know, if I'm
and it's hard. Like you said, you have to have your cup full. Otherwise, it could be very draining.
Yeah.
You know, mostly in this environment. What are like some tools that you use for your spirituality?
Well, I think my morning routine is really important to me, and I feel the difference when I don't have time for it, or if I skip it and kind of just get to work, you know. I love waking up and usually just make myself a cup of coffee. These days I have some cacao.
Yeah.
Some honey.
Heart opening.
Yes, exactly. And I'll just do a little bit of meditation, do a little bit of reading. I really love self-help books. So just kind of like getting into that flow, and then I'll try to pick up my guitar, you know, maybe finish working on a song I've been working on, or just pray. Just try to be silent in the morning. That's something that really has
slow mornings are priceless.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good.
It's so needed.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, mostly when you're, when you're giving so much, even if it's through your music, it could be very draining to be the person that people are looking at.
Yes.
All the time.
It is.
So in those moments where, you've been doing it, you have a show, you've been keeping up your sadhana, your morning practice one way or another, but it's not, you don't feel in your full self for whatever reason. What do you do in those cases?
I really just pray a lot. I really just ask God for help so often because I know that I can't do it on my own. And I have to have faith in moments like that. And I really just,
surrender.
You know, just ask God for help.
Yeah.
And it always comes through. Like, God is
somehow
so
it actually answers.
Yes. In some way or another, even if it's just a little peace of mind. And something I've kind of learned and realized is that when you're praying, the only option is to be in the present moment. Like when you're really with spirit and presence, the only option is to be in the present moment.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
So just remembering that is such a good tool. Like, wait a second, let's just be here.
Yes. Let's see what we have here.
Yes.
Because when we're so stressed or anxious, is usually coming from either something that happened or something that's about to happen you don't even know about, but you create that anxiety.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful, just like the present moment.
Yeah.
It gives a lot of peace when you're in a good environment. And then music, of course, is part of your prayer.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is a channeling way for you, is a tool for you that can become very spiritual.
Definitely. Yeah, it is a very spiritual thing for me. It kind of always has been because I started singing in church.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like I really started to connect with my voice and like the soul behind it. And yeah, I can feel when I'm connected in a different way. And sometimes the lyrics just come from, it's not even me. It's not me,
Yeah.
I'm just like, that feels so good,
Yeah, that's very magical.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And when it comes to, of course, there's so many things that are pretty and so many things, that we achieve and we do. But what do you think has been a moment or something in your life where you had to pivot one way or another, mostly to become who you are today? And I'm asking this because in these conversations, here in iMultiverse, is more of like recognizing that we're more than one thing. And sometimes we get just so like centered into one single thing that can actually create more stress and more anxiety, because there are like other expressions that you want to use. We're humans, like we have different kinds of expressions.
Definitely.
And then sometimes you realize like, hey, yeah, I want to be a singer, but I also can do this and this and this and that.
Right.
Or, hey, yes, I want this path, but there is a lot of blockages that are along the way.
Right.
Do you feel like there is a particular moment, situation, age in your life that was like, what the fuck? Let's make this official. Become part of this community. If you feel called to it, hit the subscribe button, like, and share with someone you love. And feel free to leave any comments, questions, or suggestions below. Y si estás viendo en otro idioma, te invito a activar los subtítulos para que no te pierdas de nada. Like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah, of course. I think just as you're describing that, I just remember time and time and time again where I'm reminded of the same lesson. It just comes back around. I'm like, oh, there's the pivot point. Okay, here we are again.
Now you know how it feels.
I'm just like, okay, time to reimagine this. We've been here before.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very lucky to have found what I believe my purpose is to be, which is to be a musician and a songwriter and a singer. But also there are so many other facets of my personality and of my being, like you're saying. So when I went to college, I knew I wanted to go to college. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And Florida State University had an entrepreneurship program that they were just opening up.
Okay,
So
girl, look at you.
Girl, I don't know what I want to study. I don't know what I want to do. I just know I like to sing. What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
But the path went to, okay, should I study music or should I do something else? And I kind of felt like business, entrepreneurship was probably a better decision just because I didn't want my music to become about just making money.
Yes.
So
that's important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is the pivot point every time, because I get to this point where I'm like, okay, I want to just do music. That's all I want to do. But the sad truth and reality to an emerging artist is the fact that it's really hard to make money. It's not the same as it used to be. We're underpaid.
And it takes a lot of work.
So much work.
You're traveling.
Yep.
You have equipment. There's just so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
It's not just standing up and singing something.
Yeah. Going on tour, usually you lose money, and to make money on streams, it takes many years to get that going. So not that it's impossible. I have lots of friends doing it, but a lot of friends also in the music industry do have side hustles and do have these other things.
Yeah.
So it was, for me, coming up with what is that side hustle that I want to do so that I can do my music. And it was actually videography. Which is crazy, I never really thought I'd be doing that, but I did an internship out here in California, 2018, and I learned how to run social media account.
Okay.
I learned how to do videography, how to start editing on Premiere, and doing a little bit of photography and stuff like that. And, I kind of realized, okay, maybe my purpose isn't just being a songwriter.
Right.
My purpose is way bigger than that.
Yeah.
And through content creation, I want to also empower and inspire people.
Yeah.
So kind of just realizing, okay, now I have this bigger truth. How can I connect survival with my passion for music?
Yes.
With my skill set and my education. And that has been, like I said, just the hamster wheel of
I connect with that so much.
Okay, how are we gonna do this?
So much.
Yeah,
so much.
Yeah.
But then ideally, you're learning all these things, and then again, you only connect the dots backwards. You're in the moment, you're like, I don't know where this is going. I trust, I surrender, let me pray, let me do what I know is right for me.
Exactly.
But I don't know where it's going. So you can only see it, looking back. And I connect so much with that because it's just I remember being an actress and that's the only thing I wanted to do forever. Nothing else. I don't do anything else. And then suddenly I was just well, I have to do other things because this is just not, it's not going to pay the bills, but also I know that I can do more.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you learn and then you realize oh, now it's probably easier for you. You have a deeper understanding of how branding works. You can direct a photographer.
Exactly.
You can how your branding is going to be like. You have just more control over your own profession.
Right. Exactly. And at the end of the day, I got to another point again in my life just recently where I'm like, okay, I need to figure out what I'm doing as far as work and music. I'm at that point again. And, just trying to find the balance, honestly.
Yeah. Why do you think, honest question, and just even just as a friend, just to learn from each other.
Yeah.
What do you think is necessary to be able to let go of that pattern over and over again? Because it feels again, the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So, when do you fully feel like you embrace that aspect of yourself? I have this pattern. I'm aware about it. How do I change it? Why do you think you keep coming to this place again and again?
It's so interesting. I think I'm trying to find out the answer to that right now. But, when I look at people like you are so inspiring to me because you have all of your avenues and everything. You're killing it, So it's I think it's just trusting that you don't need these outside sources.
Yeah.
Of course we need help. Of
Yeah.
course we need to lean on our community and know when to ask for help and know when it's appropriate to like look inward versus, going outward
Yes.
and collaborating with others or starting your own thing. But I think it just keeps coming down to I have the power within myself, and it's just about believing in myself and trusting that God has the plan for me and he will roll out the path for me, even though you can't see it.
Yeah.
And just trusting the unknown. Like that's what it gets to every single time. And I've had points, those, like you're saying, those pivot points along the way. Like I had a full-time job working in the cannabis industry, was making salary, had my own apartment in Long Beach, was doing music. Everything was great, but I was super unhappy because I was spending 40 hours a week on a business that wasn't my own.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to that point.
That's very frustrating.
So frustrating. So, I had to just say, okay, I'm done. I need to just do my music. So I moved out of my apartment, ended my relationship. I went on tour and I'm like, okay, well, now I'm homeless and not really thriving as much as I had hoped.
Yeah.
So okay, time to get other jobs again. And luckily I found amazing companies to work for, which have been such a blessing in helping me gain financial stability.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm at the point again where I'm like, okay, I'm spending too much time working for someone else.
Yeah.
And I have this nagging feeling at the back of my mind that just says, like, just trust. Like, you have to just dive in and fall and let go. As scary as it is,
I know.
The opportunities will come up. And I think it feels so much better to get that bag when it's aligned with what you're doing.
Yes.
Every time.
Yes.
And it's just at this point, working so hard and then feeling not really aligned and feeling so exhausted that I don't have time
to put
in my music. I'm like, what if, this is not, it has to stop, it has to stop. So coming to that cycle all those times, I think it's like having the courage to really do it, but also being smart about it because we live in California, rent is expensive no matter where you're at. Groceries, gas, phone bill, like all of our bills, all our stuff. It's
crazy.
We can't just quit everything. You know what I mean? And I'm really grateful that I have parents that were like, you need to finish college, get your degree. My parents are very realistic when it comes to that. They weren't like, okay, just do music and have fun. They're like, okay, but how are you going to eat? My dad's like, okay, cool, but
help me out.
You good? You know what I mean? You good? So I think
throw me a bone.
Seriously, my dad has been so helpful and so supportive. My mom too. My whole family. I feel so blessed. I feel like not everyone has that opportunity to say that they have that support. So
the survival instinct kicks in. Yeah, you really don't have anything like nothing to fall back into. You know, a home or family around. It can get very gnarly.
Totally.
Coming from experience is whoa. Yeah. How am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
But something that you're saying is so important and so valid, and something that I've learned through my experience as well is once again, your instinct is saying something.
Yeah.
And the more you grow, the more you connect with yourself, the more you want to trust the instinct.
Yeah.
And sometimes your mind, the society say, no, this is what you're supposed to be doing. But your instinct is so strong towards something else.
Yes.
And then you're like, well, what do I do? I need to survive. I need to live. But I also need to be aligned with something that resonates with me.
Yeah.
In your case, of course, is the music. And I understand how we need to figure it out in so many ways. But even I remember those moments in life where I had to just stop everything and just fall.
Yes.
Just fall and just be like, universe, here's my conversation with you. And I talk to it like that. Just this is what I'm saying. I'm putting in the work.
Yep.
I am leaving this behind because of a higher kind of instinct or path.
Yeah.
Show it to me. Show it to me. But just that moment right there for you to detach from what you feel is correct, and then to actually let yourself surrender. I feel like that's where the magic really, really, really happens.
Totally. And something that my sister is amazing. She's my big sis. Love her. She's kind of my therapist, honestly. And she told me, like, you don't have to know, Kat. Like, you do not have to know the answers right now. Like, I know you want to see everything that's going to happen so that you can plan it and you can, go for it. But honestly, sometimes it just takes falling into the unknown and just being okay with not knowing. Like, having that conversation with the universe, like, yo, homie, like, you see me.
You see me.
I know you got me.
I am.
I know you got me. But like, what's up? And then kind of sometimes, just hoping and knowing and having faith that the clarity will come later in different ways. And your instinct always guides you every time, just following that.
Something that I love about festivals is how I practice my intuition. Like, that's one of the things that I just practice, because a lot of people, they just have this sets and times and things, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna trust my instinct. And somehow it just guides me to this incredible people or experiences or that little stage that no one is at, and so much magic is happening. And it's just a way to practice, like, hey, let me just trust that little voice or whatever is coming through. Like, let me trust that. But it is nerve-wracking every time to just jump again and again.
Definitely.
To the unknown.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right. The intuition is so powerful and so strong. And a lot that I've been learning lately. Do you listen to Abraham Hicks at all?
Yes.
So just kind of learning through.
Match that frequency.
Seriously, get in the vortex, girl. But it's just, like, for people that don't know how to use their intuition or like aren't really as tuned in, tapped in, turned on, it has to do with your feelings and your emotions. Like, your emotions will tell you whether the thoughts that you're thinking are leading you towards your higher self or away from it. Like, if you're thinking about something and it's giving you a lot of fear and anxiety, like, hold on a second, like, maybe that's not the way to go. But if you're thinking about something and it brings you so much joy and doing these activities that make you feel aligned, like, chase that, follow that, and I think that's when it comes to living out our purpose, whatever that looks like for everyone, just doing what feels good and what feels natural and is in the flow. And I think so often I get caught up with, okay, but how am I going to get the paycheck? But it's like, sometimes if you just trust, the resources are already there for you because you've already manifested, you've already put them there. Like, no one is holding them back from you. You just have to accept it and put yourself on that frequency.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I think that's where I'm at right now is, okay, if I fully jump into the music, which is what I've been wanting to do for years, it's scary to think about paying my rent, but I know that it's just about pivoting and finding the balance of making money with music and then making money with my videography and the other skills that I have, instead of like, okay, I have to go work for this company to make a salary to pay my rent.
I know.
And dividing that focus. Like, it's all inside. It's been inside the whole time.
Yeah.
And
it's outside too.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of money just with music. And you can be connected just with music. And you can, like, the opportunity is there. I feel like we just have to tap in and just be like, hey, I believe that this is where I'm at. And I feel like being very clear with yourself too, because part of this process is also, we're not the same people that we were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think it is important to embrace that aspects of ourselves.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, like, how am I going to deal with that now? When it feels, when the feelings in the body are very similar to what I felt in the past.
Yes.
I know I'm getting anxious. I know, like, you start feeling it, you're more tapped in, like you're saying, but then rediscovering yourself in the process. Knowing that you will have more to offer, that there are other skills that come into play.
Yeah.
It is hard.
It is.
It's hard, but you're doing it.
Thanks, girl. You too. We're out here. We're out here doing it.
It's this industry in general is just, it's very hard, like, mostly for women. I'm actually very happy of where we're at because I think now there's obviously more opportunities.
Yeah.
But also within the opportunities, which ones are the ones now, now that we're bigger, like older and more selective.
Right.
It's like, well, I'm not going to just do it all.
Exactly.
So like, which one am I actually going to, speaks to me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I think that's important now to like value yourself and like have the boundaries that you need that you've created for so long after just falling over and over again and like, standing up over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, just knowing your worth and like really determining where you want to share your energy and what is that equal energy exchange.
Yeah.
Monetarily, and then your boundaries, like determining that is super powerful.
Yeah. How is like your creative process when when you're like in the middle of it and your mind also feels divided, but but your body needs to release somehow? It's something that you're passionate about. How does that creative process looks for you?
I think it looks a little different probably every time, but I tend to write during my morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes random melodies and stuff will come just throughout the day, and then I'll revisit those in my morning routine. I'll just do a little voice note of them. My voice memos on my phone are hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
I'll just like kind of come back to those, maybe it's like a phrase that I heard or something that came to mind where I'm like, oh wait, like that's kind of something that I want to expand on and write about. And then it's just about putting yourself in that flow state of that feeling. And I just usually sit down with my guitar, and sometimes it starts with a bass line. I'll come up with a little bass line. Sometimes I'll come up with some chords. Sometimes I'll just write a poem about how I feel about it, and then kind of like put the pieces, like put the puzzle together, and then I'll usually take that to a producer and they'll help me put drums. Sometimes I'll work with different band members. It really just depends on the song, but drums, actual bass, like better guitar than my guitar playing on
You're
it.
speaking Chinese to me. Like this is like we can talk about many things, but like all of that, I honestly have so much admiration for how your brain works in a musician mind. It's very dissected to like, oh, I can hear this instrument by itself, and I can hear this, and this is how we put it together. I have no talent whatsoever there. I am the audience, and I'm so glad to just be like the supporting aspect, from the other side. Like, hey, you're doing great.
Totally, that's such a big part of it. We need that too.
Yeah, to feed off each other.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it's the same though. Like for anything, it's just brick by brick, like putting it together. Like, my friend was telling me about a Will Smith quote where he was saying, like, sometimes you think about these things that people build and you're like, whoa, how did they put up that whole wall?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not about the wall. Like, don't look at it like that. Just look at it as brick by brick, Like, anyone out there, like, if you ever wanted to get into music, first of all, I got you. Second of all, it's like,
next time you see me with a guitar.
Yes, please. It's just about, like, step by step, Like, if you're, like, I really just want to be an example of someone to other people. Like, if you want to play guitar, just find a guitar at a thrift store and, like, go on YouTube and learn how to play a Bob Marley song. Like, that's what I did. And it's so much easier than, like, like, I don't want to be a whistleblower or anything, but like music is, anyone can do it. Like anyone can be a DJ, anyone can.
But there is a difference between this is something I want to do and I can exercise and I can practice and I can get there, ideally. But then there is also recognizing the powers that you've been given. Because this is something that you kind of were born with.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like recognizing that from a very young age is like, hey, we all come with many different gifts. That are just in us, you know, to like, so realize like, oh, this is a gift that I have and I'm going to put it into practice.
Definitely.
I feel like there is a lot of just people in general. I've seen it so often where there's this frustrated dream that just hasn't been born yet.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I want you to do it. And live your dream,
Yeah.
I feel like, you see your gift that you were given for this life, among other gifts, obviously, but that's just a talent. Have you felt like that at some point where, let's make this official. Become part of this community. If you feel called to it, hit the subscribe button, like, and share with someone you love. And feel free to leave any comments, questions, or suggestions below. Y si estás viendo en otro idioma, te invito a activar los subtítulos para que no te pierdas de nada. maybe the music industry is not for you?
Of course. I've been, I think a big lesson for me has been just to not compare myself. Because this world and the way that, okay, we can all have our dreams and we can all be whoever we want on social media. Like, we don't really know what anyone else is actually going through unless you talk to them every day. Like, we change so much. We are allowed to change and present ourselves however we want. And at the end of the day, sometimes I'll just see a festival lineup and I'm like, why am I not on that? You know, like, how come all my homies are on that and I'm not on that? Like, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing? And then I'll kind of spiral into like, I'm not doing enough. I'm like, am I even good? Like, why am I doing this? Like, if I have these dreams and I haven't achieved them yet. But I think what always brings me back is like, I determine my success. And even if I'm not playing at festivals right now, like, even just sitting in my room writing music, like, even just being is enough, you know? So it's like, I have to just really quiet down those demons sometimes that are like, you're not good enough, you're never gonna make it, like, just stop trying, like, just give up. And it's like, every time I think that, I'm like, what? Like, why did I even think that? You know?
Well, at least you stop yourself.
Yeah,
because it can be a spiral.
One.
It can be a whole rabbit hole.
Oh my god.
Well, with social media, like you're saying, it's I'm happy that we are from the generation that we didn't grow up with it.
Yes.
But we definitely adapted to it, you know, very quickly.
Right.
But I think we are that last generation of actual, like, no social media. Like, we were playing outside. You know, we were playing with our neighbors. You know, we were doing something else.
Yeah.
And then we jump into this world of social media where you have, again, just this branding. And everybody has a branding. You know, like, you don't have to be an artist to like have your own branding. And what you're saying is so important because it happens to all of us. Like, hey, I'm showing this face on social media, but internally I'm going through so much.
Yeah, of
you know, like, that's not you only see 5% of what's actually going on in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's important to bring these topics up because we compare to that 5%
of
what that person is giving, and you don't even know if it's real or not.
Exactly.
It's like, it's just in your head.
Yeah, it's so detrimental sometimes to let your mind wander on that front and just, you know, compare yourself. Comparison is a thief of joy. Like, I've definitely felt that a lot. And yeah, for anyone out there, in all of us, like, just to remember that no one's perfect. You know, we're all human and we all have hard times and hard days and hard seasons, and we're all just trying to figure it out. And if anyone says they have it figured out, like, they probably don't.
They're full of shit.
Exactly. Yes, you said it.
I know. But yes, we all have problems, but we all have a very unique persona. So why not embrace that?
Yeah.
Because no one is going to be you.
Exactly.
So it's just like, how can I, instead of trying to compare myself to the ideal of what I would like to be, why not just embrace my full authenticity?
Yes.
And it's hard when you're being bombarded by just so much information at all times.
Exactly. It is, but I think just like sitting in those times, like sitting with your shadow and like learning about your shadow and embracing it and accepting it and not like hating it.
Yes.
You know, because that just makes a spiral, like, ever spiral, you know? So it's like just accepting and feeling it and, you know, noticing a lot of times, like, those hard times are what makes the best songs.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I know.
Like, the best art comes from going through those hard times. Like, it's all about the yin and yang and like the ups and the downs and finding, you know, acceptance in the shadow. Like, because a lot of people don't show their shadow on social media.
Oh,
that's not what social media is. Like, it's just not.
Nobody.
You know? So it's just this facade that everyone's doing fine, but underneath you're like, not okay, you know?
So, I'm ready to experience more of that, you know, just people's authenticity in that way.
Totally, yeah.
Where we're all connected through these feelings, you know? But yeah, everything you're saying is so powerful because I just feel so connected to it. Like, even in those moments of just sitting through the pain. Yeah. Is so important.
It is.
I see it, and I've done it myself, and I feel like now we're more aware of what we're doing, but when you're trying to escape the feeling, it's actually not going anywhere.
Of course.
It's making it worse. Like whether it's partying or like overindulging or like always having people around, like when you just sit there, like sitting through it, befriending your shadow.
Yes.
Like that is what creates the light.
Exactly. Yeah. And something else my sister told me recently, because I was going through a hard time mentally, she's like, sometimes those episodes or those times where you're like, I can't do anything but lay in bed. I just can't. Like, I give up. You know what I mean? That is sometimes our body telling us that it's time to change something, like something about our life, because something can be off, but we're just constantly distracting ourselves with substances and surrounding ourselves with people and working and grinding and like doing all these things. And when you really sit with them, it all comes to a halt and you realize, wait a second, like something, you know, if you get to that point, a lot of the time it's because your body and your soul is like, okay, something needs to change.
Well, it's crashing.
Yeah, it is. In a way. It's like we need a hard reset, like start over, you know what I mean? So it's like kind of beautiful in that sense. Like it's just all a lesson. It's all an opportunity to learn, you know? Yeah. Like it's hard to see it like that in the moment. It's so tough.
It's so hard to see it in the moment. Like even when you are in the moment, and I feel like, look, I have so many tools. Yeah, I play the gongs and we have meditation and it could be music or it could be a friend or there's so many tools to get you out of that. You know, talking about Abraham Hicks, he's always like, no, connect to the higher frequency. Like you feel bad, go and do something else and connect to that. But when you're in the moment, it just feels like nothing works.
And sometimes for me, that's one of the most frustrating things is because I know what to do. I have the tools. We know, like we've been through this, girl. Like you've been through this before. But that's like, it's so hard. You're like, okay, be positive. That's not going to work this time. You know what I mean? So it's just like.
Sometimes it's going to release.
Yeah.
And there is power in that, you know, holding on and holding on and holding on and holding on. And, you know, you moved from your home, from your hometown at an early age. So you've had to put yourself in survival moments that are very important for who you are now. And you can use those moments to just be like, okay, like I know that I'm in survival mode right now and I know how to work it. But sometimes we just hold on too much. Yeah. Mostly as women.
Yeah.
You know, we're holding on whatever it is, because that's who we are. We're the carriers. We're the wound.
Yes.
So we receive and we receive a lot and we hold. And sometimes we just need to release.
Yeah.
Have you done plant medicine before?
I've experimented with mushrooms.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it. So I'm definitely open to learning.
You would love it.
I feel called for sure. Like I know it's coming really soon. And I think a lot of breakthroughs will come from that. So I'm excited to get into that whenever the time is right. You know?
Well, it has to feel right for you.
Definitely.
Sure. Yeah. I take it very it's not a mellow thing to do. And the way I see medicine is not just the moment of the medicine that feels very overwhelming, you know, whatever you're doing. It's really the work that you're going to put in after. Because once you have these realizations, once you have what you were there to ask for, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah,
because that's the real question. Now that you have the clarity that this is not the job for you, this is not the relationship for you, this is where I can step up, you know, higher, you know, are you going to take action on those things? That is the hard part. And when it comes to medicine, I feel like that's where we need to like woman up and just be like, all right, I call this. I wanted this change and I'll have to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's powerful.
We take a lot, you know? And I just love this because it's sometimes we're so in our own minds and in our own experiences. And then you don't realize that the person next to you, the friend right next to you, is just going through the same exact thing.
Seriously. That's so true.
Yeah. So like this, you know, these conversations are so necessary to just feel like, all right, I'm not alone in all of this.
Yeah, exactly. I love having conversations like this. Thank you again for putting this together and I can't wait to hear all the other conversations too. It's so beautiful.
I love that. I think you're going to feel inspired by definitely the people we have this season.
Yeah.
There is one question I have for you because a little bird told me.
Okay.
And I had it written down somewhere. I just know that you have notes in your phone.
I do.
And then you have like a list or like a folder that is like signs of hope.
Yeah, I do.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So my good friend Stavi.
Yeah.
He told me once that he has a bunch of notes in his phone. And so I'm like, I bet you don't have more notes than me. And we pulled out his phone and he had more notes.
Oh my God. What is he taking notes?
Right? Signs of hope. He's like, oh yeah, I have like signs of hope. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like it just kind of, I don't know, when you see something out there that just like restores your faith in humanity.
Yeah.
Like I just have a list of like quotes. And some of them are just really silly. Like something that my boyfriend will say that just cracks me up that I'm like, I want to remember that later because it just gave me hope that
in that moment
life is good.
Yeah. So you just write sentences?
Yeah.
The things that come to you?
Yeah. I think also like just quotes that people say where I'm like, yes, Stavi, you called it. You said that. You know, so I'll just write that down real quick. I'll throw a date next to it. I'm like, okay, this is like, at least there's hope.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking that as a tool for myself.
Yes.
It's just like next time we're gonna be comparing notes. How much did you write this time?
Exactly.
That's great. You find inspiration. You want to keep it with you. You know, like actually, I didn't think of that. So I should be using my phone a little more often.
Yeah.
For better stuff than just scrolling through Instagram.
Oh gosh, seriously. The doom scrolling. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, is there another show that you have coming up? It's the end of the year. Are you busy?
I have a couple things coming up. I've been focusing more on getting in the studio and just writing because I have a lot of songs that are not out yet, and my over perfectionist mind is just, come on, like it's not done yet. But you know, I'm like, okay, it needs to just be in the world, like it's done.
We're actually so alike.
Oh my gosh.
So alike. Are you a Virgo somehow?
I am a Virgo.
Oh, okay.
That's why.
I get it. I get every single thing now. I was just like, this girl is a Virgo. Like, just right after you telling me like how just pragmatic you are. And I have a Virgo rising sign.
Okay.
But it really comes through in work. And I'm very perfectionist.
Yeah.
And I know how that can get. Sometimes just gotta let it out. Like, let it be whatever it's gonna be. Just we'll learn from there, you know?
Totally.
But I immediately knew. I was like, she's a Virgo.
Yeah. And honestly, when something is the most potent, just getting it out into the world feels the best. So I'm definitely working on that.
Yeah.
I'm just like getting out what I have and then working on more music. But yeah, I have a show next week at Garden Amphitheater, opening for Kyle Smith. He just released an album, so that's a good friend of mine, a bunch of friends on the lineup, and going back home to Florida for a few shows too. So
Ooh, where in Florida?
Jacksonville.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I have family there, but they're in Fort Lauderdale. I think it's more like south.
Yeah, Florida's cool. I love Florida. Cool. It's definitely a goal of mine to be kind of bi-coastal and be able to pop back and forth because both places are awesome and I have experienced so much great community in both that I really just want to like share both.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be international.
Exactly. Yes.
It's like by hemisphere.
Exactly.
If that makes any sense.
It does. Yes. International.
I love that. Oh my God. Well, we don't have much time. So I'm wondering if you have, you've been talking a lot about your purpose and your message. For whomever is listening, what is, what would you end with that is like, hey, if you get anything out from this today, from who I am and my experience, what would that be?
Thank you for asking. I think the message really deep down stems with pretty much everything we've just been talking about, but really connecting with yourself and following what it is that feels good and feels right. Sometimes that's really hard, but it just is so impactful when we can do what feels good to us because that is what creates the most value around us as well, and it's not really being selfish. It's more like first filling your own cup so that you can pour out.
Yeah.
But truly doing what's best for yourself is what's best for the community.
Yes.
And I think that's like what I've been learning is like, how can I empower other people to stand up and be who they really truly want to be and be confident in themselves? A lot of people are like, you're so confident. I'm like, okay, this took a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of like mental grit to be like, okay, you know, like this is who I want to be. And I know it's not as easy for everyone to really come to terms with that. But just realizing that once we are our full selves, that's how we empower other people to be their full selves, and that's how it spreads and grows. So the message is just really like coming together with everyone and realizing that we're one, you know, but like through the oneness, it's like look inside at your one and really embrace who you are so that you can make the world a better place around you. And just like maybe we don't have to be doing like all this philanthropy work, but it like really just starts with us and being the best version that we can be and like nourishing our mind and body and soul with like healthy people, healthy thoughts, healthy actions, healthy food, good water, you know, like just really, I think it really starts with us.
Self-love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I love that. Well, you're doing that, and you definitely caused that you create that, and that's why I know you're such a strong woman because that we recognize it, right? We see it, and yes,
it's a reflection.
It's a reflection, and we're able to teach through our authenticity. So thank you for that. I'm so thrilled that you've been here, that you can share your story. Thank you so much for joining. I'm sure I feel inspired already. I'm like, I'm going to be playing my guitar and singing reggae next week, knocking on your door.
Please.
But more than anything, I really wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
It's just, it's all going to happen.
Yeah.
Divine timing.
Definitely.
And, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And yes, you're such an inspiration. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Applause for a beautiful Kat Hall. And I'm going to see you in the next episode of iMultiverse Podcast.
See ya.